Hey there, so I had so much fun with this deck last time that I thought we'd try it again. You guys, this deck is only $5 on Amazon right now. So I don't know if they like drastically reduced it because it wasn't selling or what. But I thought it was a little bit cheesy. I threw it in my cart when I was making another purchase just because it was only $5, but I really like it. So let's see what else we can do with it. We're actually going to take their suggestion of doing past, present, future, and outcome. But I've also added one tarot card to the top. So let's reveal in the picks which tarot card belongs to each pile. We've got the Five of Pentacles for pick 1. We've got the Four of Pentacles for pick 2. The King of Cups for pick 3. And the Ace of Pentacles reversed for pick 4. I was going to put that upright, but I just had the feeling to keep it reversed, okay? So, use your own intuition to decide if one or more of these picks has a message for you. This reading is just information to reflect on, okay? So, let's get started with pick number 1. Pick number 1, the Five of Pentacles. I'm just looking at this card for a minute here. I'm just going to grab my glasses to look. I did end up investing in some better glasses for those of you who saw me struggling with a dollar store pair the other day. This flower has bloomed in winter, but it's bent over like it bloomed so early and that it didn't quite make it. Or someone could have actually come along and bent it, because there is a pathway here in this winter snow with a very barren landscape, and yet pentacles. 5 of them in this tree. So it's like, even though everything's barren and even though it's like trudging through coldness, there are still 5 pentacles. So I feel like this is about being hardy, standing strong through the winter, despite the struggles and the knocks and bumps and bruises you may get. That your foundation is actually strong enough to support you and you have all your needs met. Okay, let's look at past. In the past, let's see, I'm going to have to use the book to refresh me on these things. The colors are telling us about emotions, if I remember correctly. Our mood and how we act. It's how you feel. These are how you feel. So in the past, you were instinctive, you were trusting yourself, you felt like in tune with your intuition. Okay. Present. We got the nostalgia card, the MP3 downloads. I believe I saw like a cassette tape in this deck too, so MP3 downloads obviously is after the cassette tape, so it's not in the as distant past as some cards could point us to. Let's see what nostalgia is telling us about. It's about having fun. It's about discovery of the world around you. And maybe what you're finding in the world around you is things that you kind of want to rebel against. Because this is an advancement in technology, when the nostalgia is kind of about times before technology. You know, for those of us who were alive at that time, I understand if you're of the younger generation, there probably wasn't a time before technology. But it was just starting to get really big with us. We had VCRs and our first games consoles, and this can mean that you're kind of deciding to break away from something that was working for you in the past that doesn't work anymore, that you no longer want to stay stuck in some sort of situation. Future. Okay, given this and how you're handling it and the trajectory you're on. Now, one thing is that we can change the energy at any time, so this isn't a prediction, it's just information to reflect on, right? Okay, so the pickle is a color, right? So we know it's our feelings and our mood. A pickle can be kind of sour, right? A sour pickle. And then also it could be someone's favorite. It's green, so it's like heart-based energy. It's like some people love pickles. They get crazy over pickles. So it's like the future is like doing what you love. Doing what you love, loving what you do. Let's see what the book says about pickle, if I got the right feeling off of it as far as the book is concerned. Colors, I know you're in here. Pickles. Dilemma, in a bind, and impasse. So you don't want to continue on with doing something currently, and now this puts you in a position where you're not sure how to proceed. This is what this is saying. Okay. Maybe the thing that you decided doesn't work for you anymore was working for you up to that point, and that's why you were utilizing it, and that's why you were in it. But now it doesn't really work for you, but then what are you going to do instead? It's like a conflict between the heart and wanting to succeed or wanting to proceed, right? It's like if it was up to your heart, you'd do it this one way, but you have other things to consider. So you're kind of feeling a little stuck with these other things to consider. This nostalgia is Saturday morning cartoons, and this is the outcome. So the outcome is that you do find a way to follow your heart, that you end up having to reprioritize things and put things into a different perspective before you can proceed. So anytime we're fuzzy and unclear, we do want to take a pause. We want to make sure that we're more clear before we move along, right? Let's see, this says carefree, easygoing, laid back. Yeah, it's kind of like this change puts you in a little. It could have been anything from a moment or a while where you felt like it was a pressure cooker, to now you're stuck kind of feeling. And then you will get to this point where you surrender it all. You're just like, nah, I know that I got this. Even if it looks hard for a minute, I can withstand. Let me just let go of this worry, because worst case scenario, I'm going to make it through. All right, so pick one. It looks like you've just been going through sort of this process of making some changes, So remember, it's just information to reflect on, and that is going to complete your reading. Only take what's helpful to you. And next, just want to make sure these cards are all pointed the right way. They are. Pick 2. The Four of Pentacles, feeling a little bit like you're financially in a good place. Might have taken you a while to get here, and you're really happy and comfortable with it. And it's okay to have a little extra right now, and it's okay to keep it for yourself right now. You're not really looking to like get into any situation where you won't feel safe and like you have enough. For the foreseeable future, you look to be in a good position. But just having that mindset of having to hold on to something and plan for the future can also be seen as a sort of limitation. So let's see how this is playing out in this energy. What is the past card telling us about your situation? It came in reverse, but I'm not going to take reversals in this deck. So the peacock, the animal, the peacock. So the past is maybe like you kind of feel like you worked hard and you earned what you got. And it was like you had to prove yourself to other people. You had to let your skill and your intelligence and your drive and all that be seen. Maybe you even had to work within the binds of other people's wishes or other people's expectations. Let's see what the book says. Show off, boast, and brag. You had to prove yourself. We'll just say that. And the present time. So now you want to celebrate how far you've come. Wonderful. You worked hard. You got yourself into the position where you can feel comfortable and you have something to celebrate. I'm just going to look up wine. I think it's an environment card. Is it? Oh, it's a color. It's an emotion. Yes, that makes sense. How inconvenient. All right, all right. Hold on, please. Are you as annoyed by that ringtone as I am right now? Okay, believe it or not, my phone doesn't ring that often, so I hadn't heard that in a long time. Okay, so wine, yes, you're in a good position, pleasantly enjoying the fruits of your labor. Future. Okay. So because of where you came from and because you had to labor so hard and do a lot to achieve what you have right now, you have a tendency to maybe want to hold on to it, right? And like the mindset when you have to hold on to something like that, like money or belongings, let's pretend the money was belongings, right? It's like in actuality, if we're in the flow state, we can line up with something that we need when we need it. And money ideally would be something that flows as well. Like we don't have to hoard. We can just like let it come and let it go. And I'm not saying you shouldn't plan for the future and all that. But this card, this reading is describing some sort of like scarcity mindset. So it's not that you don't put away for a rainy day and establish a savings. It's just that when you're doing that because you've discerned that that's a wise thing to do, not because you're afraid that to go without and afraid to fall back down into poverty level or going without or not having enough. Do you see the subtle difference, right? So it's worthwhile looking at the nuance of that, because where you're headed now is that after you're done, doing this celebration, like that's only going to last so long, then you sort of get to a place where you kind of feel a little bit more like maybe protective over what you have, maybe like putting yourself at risk of being around people who will actually deceive you or steal from you or things like that. It's this isn't to scare you though, so don't take it that way, but it just means like there's some sort of energy here that says like, all right, I do not feel great or safe about being in this world, and I feel like I have something to protect. And I shouldn't have had to work this hard to get this. And now that I have this, I'm holding on to this, and I don't want to go without again. And so what is underlying that is all these like feelings about how it was when you didn't have what you have now. So it's just like, now that you are in a safe space, revisit those versions of yourself and be with the feelings that were there. The real fear about going without, the real fear about not having enough, the real guilt about not being able to provide something that you wanted to for your children or your loved one or whatever. Real pain about, it depends on what level of lack or scarcity you were experiencing before, whatever feelings you're going to have to process. But like, that's what needs to be done now, in order to avoid getting into a posture that is going to just attract reasons to show you why it's a lie. Because like, we attract the energy that we're in, right? So what is the outcome? You got 2 cards for the outcome. Rainforest and Aurora Borealis. So let's look at the environment cards here. The environment, I believe, in this deck is telling us about a warning about what you're going into, something like that. Help you anticipate where you're going and what you need to be successful. That's what it is. Okay. So the Aurora Borealis is unique, limited, and rare. And the rainforest is confuse, tangle, and complicate. So perhaps whatever you were doing here, you attracted some attention. You had to be seen. You had to prove yourself. And what you're headed to, because of what it was, is like maybe this feeling of like it didn't last long enough. It was a passing moment. I lost already what it was, like, in my mind. All right, so another energy that could be affecting you here is like the idea that, we all want to be special, right? That's sometimes an egoic coping mechanism, or an ingredient that goes into a coping mechanism, right? Because if we're special, then our parents pay attention to us. If we're special, then we get the attention we need and therefore the care we need. If we're special, then someone's paying attention and we know that we're lovable, likable, worthy of the attention, right? So some of us, when we were parented, some of our parents weren't able to be present with us, and thus has caused some sort of woundings, where we do want that attention, we want that recognition, and we're craving it, and we want it, right? And so addressing your lack mindset and all that stuff at the root causes, right, of like how you grew up, how you were treated when you were a child. It doesn't mean that your parents were wrong, and it doesn't mean that you're actually like blaming your parents or saying that they were bad parents. By going back into your childhood to question and look at how you felt and the stories you told yourself and the explanations you housed for the experiences that you were having back then. Because ideally, you'll want to bring some balance into the situation and understand that, yes, you did have an experience of lack. Yes, it was unpleasant. Yes, it's totally understandable. And you can validate yourself on why you feel the scarcity and why you feel the want to be special and recognized by others, right? But also, the opposite is also true. Everybody is special, and there is actually enough. And just because you had the experience of not having enough doesn't mean you have to live that way. So you don't have to carry the baggage of having lived that way. And the only way to release that baggage is to be present with the feelings that you have about those times. And the feelings are what's anchoring in the belief system and all that from earlier on, which is what's creating your reality going forward. So what will happen is, if without adjusting this in your own energy, what will happen is you'll come to this point where the hype will die down of what you just achieved, and then you'll kind of feel uncomfortable again, and you'll kind of be like, you'll want that again. You'll want, like, why am I not being recognized now? Like, maybe you need to, like, feel like you'll start feeling like, oh, I need to jump through more hoops. Like, it's just kind of gets to be this thing where you're jumping through hoops and complicating things, and really where all that needs to happen is the parts of you that experience the scary stuff of limitation, lack, and maybe even like a bit of I'm going to say neglect, but I'm going to use it very lightly, right? Our parents we could say our parents are neglecting us when they're simply like making dinner while we needed them. Like it could be that simple, or it could be something much more serious where you were neglected. But whatever it was, the feelings from that time need your acknowledgement, validation, acceptance, and presence. So that when you go forward, you understand that you are the one who loves yourself through the times when you feel like alone or want to be thought as special or need some attention. You give those things to yourself. You reassure yourself that you're special. You are the one who can recognize that how unique you are. You are the one that you have to prove yourself to, because it's your standards, and you can make them what you want now that you have the freedom to do so, now that you are matured to this level. So this experience that you're having isn't wrong. You're not bad for having these feelings or whatever. This is like a pretty understandable way for somebody to adapt to a situation, on where you've come from. And so, the point of kind of being given this information to reflect on, like in this reading, is so that you could attempt to start untangling those things within yourself and free yourself from having to live out that pattern of feeling those things low level and trying to run away from or escape them or drink to avoid them. Just go right into the feelings and be with the ways that you feel that caused you to operate in the way that you are. Because life is going to be a lot more pleasant when you're not just jumping through people's hoops to achieve and get what you want from them, but actually like literally doing something where you enjoy the process of doing it. And that's the payoff. So that at the end, you're not looking for the people to give you the kudos as a way to repay you for the energy you exerted, but rather you actually enjoyed the process of what you were doing, and that is the payoff within itself. Ideally, that's the potential for you to be in, and knowing that like you could spend the money that you've made, because as you do, you're going to be doing what you love, which makes you a magnet for more income. So it would be more like a flowing thing, right? The stagnancy in energy is where we get into trouble. Okay, but it's also not wrong to have experienced this. Remember, this is just information to reflect on, so that's going to be the end of your reading. Only take what is useful to you and leave the rest. Alrighty. Pick 3. We have the King of Cups here, who is a very, I want to say, confident, caring, kind, gentle, yet strong. Man, leader, masculine energy. It could be a female. This masculine energy, is not run by the emotions, but has emotional intelligence, does not deny emotions, and can ride the wave of them as needed. All right, let's do, I don't know who that is, if that's you, if that's your energy, or how that's going to play in, but let's see. So past energy for you. Nostalgia. Wow. Word art. It might have even been very exciting for you to realize that you could be in control of your emotions, that your emotions don't have to rule you, that you could actually get a leg up on them, that you could actually use the tools that you have or that you've learned to manage the navigation of the emotional realm. That it wasn't so intimidating or out of off limits as you might have been previously told or thought. Present. So this ability to have processed your emotions and been wowed at the result puts you in a position to be present. Like, you can be present with what's going on now, right? Because there's no underlying emotion that you're trying to avoid with a certain program or response that is subconscious. You can actually remain present and aware of what's going on. Now, I'm going to just look at the meaning for this card, just in case there's anything else to add. Present, involved, available. Okay. So maybe you're even open to a new project or meeting new people, or, just ready to be putting yourself out there. You're ready to take action on anything that does come as an intuitive prompt as well. So, future. In the future, you may, you could get to a point where you start to look back on some of the things, and maybe you'll even dig deeper into some stuff that you hadn't dealt with yet, that was hardened, that was kind of like at the base and the foundation, and you might even start upgrading stuff that was already working well. Let's see what this deck has to say about this card. Nostalgia, developing photos, memory, reminder, hint. Okay, and the outcome. Gadgets and fun-shaped nuggets. So maybe in looking back, right, which you ultimately end up doing, even though you're able to be present, you know how to be present, you look back from that vantage point. And now you're looking at things that interested you back then, and now you're looking at them with an even bigger picture view. You're kind of able to see the same old things, but from a bigger picture view. Yeah, it's like something that looked a certain way and you're familiar with it. Now there's an even bigger layer of it revealed to you based on perspective you now have. Maybe before, like if you were to indulge in gadgets or fun-shaped nuggets, maybe these were things that you would do to avoid feeling something. But now that you've been present with your feelings, now that you have processed and now you're able to be present, now looking at these things is more of a hobby than an escape. You see what I mean? So you might go back to some of the things that you used to enjoy and really enjoy them from a whole different level. So that's the outcome of where you're going. And it doesn't mean that you can't do new things, right? It doesn't mean that you can't do new things, but I think that in the immediate outcome of the future that you're headed towards is that that's probably what you're going to play in for a bit. Okay? All right, remember this is just information to reflect on. So only take what is useful to you and leave the rest. Remember, energy, you can change your trajectory at any time. Like if you feel like me saying that is an indication to you that you don't want to waste your time with that, then you know that you're going to open yourself up to even new things instead of letting your mind go back to the memories to reminisce on. But I wouldn't avoid it just because your mind thinks so, right? Being present means that you're going to take your intuitive prompts. So maybe there's a reason your intuition is pushing you back to those things to revisit them, because maybe you'll get an inspiration from the view you have of them now, right? Like maybe you go, oh, if we do this and this, that's an even better, bigger, newer version of this thing that used to be so great. You know what I mean? All right. Pick 4. The Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So maybe you feel like you've been in the same situation for a while. You would, you like the comfort zone that you're in. Maybe you would be averted to being pushed into a new situation in the past. You've been through a lot. You've lived a lot of life. You've maybe even like rebuilt yourself several times in life, like rise like the phoenix a few times over. You're wise. Let's see what this deck has to offer us about this card. Sea Turtle. Mellow, harmonious, go with the flow. And you're present. The Otter. And there's 2 otters. You might be in a relationship. It might even be with like a twin. Or a Gemini, or just someone that you find very comfortable, someone that you can play with, someone that you can relax and enjoy with, someone that you can flow through life with. So maybe before you were alone and you just got into a relationship. It's possible for some. Let's see what it says about Otter. Partnership, unity, connection. So that might be like the highlight of your life right now is that partnership. And future. So now that you're in a partnership, you know, it could have been that you were always in a partnership and this isn't a new partnership, but either way, if it's new or if you've always been in it, there's going to be some sort of like wave of emotions. This wave is telling us that there is some change, and it looks like here that this is a resistant to change kind of thing. Like you like kind of how it is, and even though these energies are saying they go with the flow, this is saying like there's going to be some more to flow with, and it might be a little bit more out of the comfort zone than you had been enjoying. right? These are very contained spaces that you've been in. And this wave is actually coming so that you land someplace different. Okay? And the outcome. Oh, and this new place is going to be very good for you. Very enjoyable. A new view. I think you've still got your connection. It's nothing like a breakup or anything like that, right? This is like you're going with the flow, partner's going with the flow. You're flowing into some sort of new beginning. Just going to look at what these cards say. We've got waves and sunrise. Okay. The resistance to doing this is probably what's made it come in a whoosh. Like all of a sudden there's a bunch of things that you have to handle. And that's this wave, and it's kind of just like relocating you, right? So something is going to change, but it's like this thing that you can also float with, and the outcome is really nice, shiny. Things are looking up. Okay? So it wasn't wrong to stay in the contained situation you were in, because it looks like, you know, you're gonna kind of just flow into the next state, the next stage, the next phase. Now remember this is just information to reflect on, so only take what is helpful to you and leave the rest, and that completes your reading. Bye now.